These Dudes on Games, episode 4. All right, everybody, and welcome to These Dudes on Games, episode 4. As always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hannison. I'm just trying to get things with the audio right. And joining me, Jeff Ward. Jeff, how's it going?
Pretty good, Lloyd. How about yourself?
It's going. Things are things right now. Got
Things are things.
a lot of work stuff happening, strike, and all this crazy stuff that's happening. And I had a lot of nervous energy, so I proceeded to rip apart my whole recording studio / office and rearrange everything. So if you're watching the video, you notice like I got nice stuff behind me now. I don't have like this big mess and bookshelf with every game that I own, but well every current generation game that I own. I now have walls and posters behind me, which is great. It actually looks like it's like right behind my chair, but there's actually like a couple feet just because of the crappy.
It does. It looks like a new room out there. Like it looks like you've moved. And, well, it looks like you back. Let's say that.
Yeah, it's really weird. But the only problem with that is I had to disconnect everything. So every piece of electronics in my room was disconnected. So my server, my Mac, my Mac Mini, all the cables, everything was disconnected and put somewhere else. And then somehow, in doing that, I guess I put cables on top of my mixer. It then basically took every single knob and twisted it from where it was. So I didn't want to touch the knobs because they were perfect. I had everything squared away to how I wanted. But no, I managed to screw that up and basically turn everything like 45 degrees from where it was. So it took me a while to get that all sorted out, but I think we're good. Other than that, and my whining about it, I think everything's
it's
going
really
well.
hard to hear you. I think the music is like a little bit too loud.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you probably have it coming to you really loud.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we are. Yeah, still getting things squared away. We'll turn it down and turn it off anyway. All right, so there we go. So hopefully things will correct themselves over the next couple shows as I find little things that were tweaked wrongly, and then I can retweak them to the proper tweakage.
It's like when I had an old PC and I would take it apart and just put like a new stick of RAM in and then put it back, essentially back together, putting the case back on, hooking it back up.
Yeah.
And for some reason it was nowhere near what it was. And I didn't even do anything extra to it. Like what the hell's going on here? I don't get it. I didn't even touch anything, but for some reason something is different.
And you have 800 extra screws somehow. There was only like 7 screws used in the case, but for some reason now there's 800.
Yeah. It's like buying a piece of furniture from IKEA and they always give you like 20 screws and they say, you need all of them. I always feel like that's just more of a recommendation than it is like a necessity.
It's a score and you have to beat it.
Exactly. It's a challenge. Yeah. It's a challenge. Like I would love to. I've put furniture together with no screws before and then just taken them back to the store and said, here's your damn screws.
Well, that's perfect. Give me a refund. I want 27 cents back because that's how much these screws cost.
Exactly.
Damn it, IKEA.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody to These Dudes on Games episode 4. Thanks for joining us and staying subscribed to the show. I've been getting a lot of people subscribing on iTunes, which is really cool. A lot of people are downloading each and every episode right from iTunes. So the subscription link worked really well. And also been getting a lot of traffic to the various posts. No commenters, just a lot of traffic. So don't be scared. Head on over to vgpodcast.com and let us know what you think of the show right on that blog. We'd love to have communications back and forth with the different listeners and hopefully make that a big part of the show, talking to you guys and figuring out what you like about the show, what you dislike about the show, and then maybe even answering your questions so we can fully like laser focus and tailor the show to exactly what you guys want to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. Open up a dialogue. Let's keep this two-way conversation instead of just one way.
Exactly.
Granted, I mean, we both love listening to ourselves talk, so it's not like this is hurting us, but we would like to know what you think and get your opinion in sometimes.
Exactly. We'll do this forever happily, but it'd be nice to have other people kind of joining in sometimes as well.
For sure.
All right, well let's get right into this then. I'm going to say Jeff, what you been playing?
Oh man, so the last couple of weeks been playing a lot of stuff, and this week the biggest thing, and we talked about it last show that I played was Journey. I went and I that night I went and bought Journey on the PS3, and I didn't get to play it until I think it was a few days later. I believe it was Friday night, and played it in one sitting. Although I don't see it being a game that you would break up. Unless you went to the bathroom or something, it's not something that you would play over the course of a week. It really is a 90-minute game. And man, I feel like I'm a little against the grain on it because I don't feel like it's the best thing ever. But I did really appreciate it. So, my take on the game is that that game company, which is the developer of the game, has been known for these like pushing kind of the game box boundary.
Right.
I loved Flower. I think it is still one of the most purest examples of video game art. Okay. It's just got great physics. It's a simple game. It's almost like meditation, really, and it's an experience that I've never played before, never had before with video games. A lot of times I will buy video games that seem like they are maybe not the next, big thing, but they seem like they're just so far off base from what I know of this is Call of Duty, this is Halo, this is, Battlefield, like games, right? And this is something that's, totally off base from that. So I'll go out and buy Limbo. I remember buying Nintendogs on day one launch for the DS because I thought that was such an interesting concept. When I was a kid, I loved those Tamagotchi things. I had one and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And Nintendogs seemed like the next step up. And I mean, it's actually a pretty stupid game, but the concept and the delivery of the game content is pretty interesting to me. So I played this game, and I have to say, I really enjoyed it. I think it looks fantastic. The physics of the sand and the snow are like Uncharted, I mean, they're really fantastic physics. The character looks, all cute and stuff, and, he doesn't say anything, and I like the kind of ping to talk to people with that little thing that flashes above your head, and it's very interesting. So I played it in one sitting. I get to the end, and I won't spoil it for anybody, but I felt like it was kind of a letdown, like I knew that was going to happen. And maybe it's one of those experiences where I was looking to get more out of it than what I should have because everybody had been hyping it up around me.
Right.
So maybe I ruined it a little bit for myself that way. I still think it's a fantastic game and totally worth your money. I ended up getting my girlfriend to play it the day after, and I watched her play it. And she actually did things a little bit different than I did. And I think she skipped a part of the game. I don't even know how it happened, but I remember her getting to some place that I got to significantly quicker without going through a certain step. Maybe I just blinked and missed it or something, or I was looking down at my phone. But I think the coolest thing about the game is that you play with people who randomly pop into your lobby, one other person, and that person will essentially be your partner.
Right.
And I was always, if I was ahead of that person, I'd be looking for them, waiting for them to catch up, and then, we would go on our merry way and stuff. And when I got to the end, we both walked through the the end part together at the same time.
Nice.
And then after the credits, it shows who you played with, and I was like, I want to know what this guy's name is. And it was actually 3 different people, and I thought that was really cool because I figured I was playing with one person the whole time.
Yeah, no, it's pretty seamless the way it does that.
Yeah.
The only when I did my first playthrough, the only reason why I knew I was playing with different people was because one had the white coat, which is an unlockable that you get in the game by...
If you get all the pieces, right?
Yeah, if you get all of the hidden items, essentially, in all the levels, you unlock this white coat. So I'm like, why did that guy change to a white coat? And I was like, that's really weird. And then he did some weird stuff, jumped up on a thing, because he could jump forever, pretty much. Yeah. I was like, that was weird. And then I come around another corner, and there's another just, like, normal robed guy, and I'm like... Oh, that was probably different people. Okay, that makes sense.
For me, I didn't encounter anybody with a white coat, so I always just thought it was the same guy, and then neither did Carly, my girlfriend. And then when she was finished playing, it's like she played with 8 different people, and I was like, holy crap, 8? I think playing with one guy. That's really cool because I'm hesitant to say had a connection with these people, but I had a connection with these people, right? I'll never talk to them again. I won't add them as a friend on the PSN or anything, but it was like, you had this little interaction that is really kind of tough to equate to anything, you know?
Right.
I meet people in online stuff all the time in Call of Duty or playing, Mass Effect multiplayer, anything like that. But I can talk to them, we can interact. This is completely different. I think it's a fantastic game, but I think I was looking for a little bit more. I liked Flower more than this because
Right.
the story that's kind of presented to you in cutscenes between levels, it makes no sense to me. And maybe I just didn't get it and it just went over my head. But for
Right.
me, it was like, I don't know what the hell's going on here. I just want to get back in and play and slide down sand and stuff.
Yeah, to me that was one of the best parts of the game was how it kind of unfolded the story, where you have the white cloaked figure that kind of looks at you and kind of you could see it smiling sort of, but it wasn't smiling. Like it just had this look of happiness about it,
Hmm.
and then it shows how like everything kind of happened, like the rise of whatever, and then I won't get into anything else because I don't want to spoil it. But I kind of figured out what the whole story was, and that kind of made I guess my playthrough a little bit more, I don't know, exciting, I guess, because I knew sort of what had happened in the world, and then you're experiencing kind of a microcosm of what had happened in the world based on what the scenes that they were showing you was. So I
Yeah.
thought it was pretty cool. And I talked last week about my wife playing, right? Kara played it last week.
Yeah.
I talked about that. She still talks about it every once in a while. Like we were
Oh,
chatting,
really?
we were just talking yesterday, and she's like, "Yeah, remember those little things and the stuff they did, and how I was kind of smiling and then really sad." And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "I still think about that. That's really cool. I want to play that game again." So I think it touched her even more than it touched me.
I don't think I'll ever play it again.
Right.
It was like it's a one-time kind of I play it, I'm done kind of experience, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think
Right.
the fact that I'm only going to play it once should be a blemish on the game.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I got about as much as I can out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and if I play it more, I feel like I might get frustrated because there's really no way to kind of increase the pace at which you play the game.
Right.
So, I'm just essentially doing the same thing over again. And I have no desire to go and get the white, robe thing or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it reminded me a lot of a movie I saw when I was a kid in a music class in elementary school. It was like, I can't remember what it's called, and I wish I could because I want to see it again so badly, but it left a big impact on me when I was like developing my film lover brain as a kid. It was this movie that there's no dialogue, and it's all these people who are born in the dark and they have 8 days to live, and they have to get through this labyrinth and get to a place. And if they get there, they essentially have a chance to save their entire race and kind of open up the world and rid them of the things that are always attacking them. So they have this 8-day life cycle. So for the first couple of days, they're training. The older people are training and teaching the kids how to what to expect in the labyrinth. And then the next 2 days they spend getting to the end and going through all these different quests and stuff. It's really cool. And this game reminded me a lot about that, not in the direction, just in kind of the mystery about it. You don't
Right.
really know what you're in for, and even once you're finished it, you're like, I don't know why I did that. So I think it's a fun game. I think some of it was lost on me.
Right. Exactly. Oh, cool. Well, I'm glad you played it. I'm glad we had different opinions about it as well, because that's going to lead to some really good conversations down the road as well.
And then the next thing I was playing is that we also talked last week about Minecraft, and for some reason I'm like, yeah, I got to go back and play that. I've done some not to, blow my own horn here, but I've done some really cool things in Minecraft. I made a replica of the Hogwarts castle from Harry Potter,
Nice.
and I've built some ridiculously huge structures and like underwater cities and stuff. So I wanted to get back in, and I've had Minecraft for like a year and a half now. Back when the game was actually in alpha mode, I was an early adopter, so I've been playing it for a long time, and they've done so many updates since the last time I played it. It's like a brand new game right now, and I still feel like this is probably one of the best values in gaming you'll ever see. The game is like $27 or $30, and it's completely open. I mean, it's just you get this really cool adventure mode that has a little bit of RPG elements into it, and they're constantly adding new stuff that you can do. Minecraft is a big, and it's Mac or Windows too, so you can play it on almost any platform. it is a must-have if you're just looking for something to kind of lose your life into, because it will devour your time.
Yeah, I've played Minecraft a fair bit. Again, I was just like you. I was an early adopter, picking it up in the original alpha, and I just picked it up recently because my some buddies at work started their own server and they wanted me to come on and play with them. And yeah, it's weird. You have like an experience bar and there's a food bar, a food meter, and it's just like, this is a game now. It's not just it's not Lego anymore. It's they're trying to add other stuff to it, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, I dig Minecraft. I don't get too deep into it because I get lost like building like this huge castle, and then I realize that it's like 4 a.m. and I have to get up for work in an hour and 45 minutes. And then it's like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't play Minecraft anymore. That would be a great idea. And then I don't.
See, for someone like me who has insomnia and I spend a lot of time just kind of sitting in front of the computer killing time,
right.
Minecraft's a great game for me. But like you, I have lost many an hour playing it and put off many a project in college, and like, oh crap, I have to get this, this video edited for tomorrow, and I've just played Minecraft for 3.5 hours and it feels like I blinked. It's like, damn it, I gotta focus. But then I see, the Minecraft, it's on my dock on both my MacBook Pro and my iMac, so it's always staring me in the face.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, and then the last thing I've been playing this week is, was it last week or the week before we talked about Browser Quest?
I think that was last week.
Yeah, so essentially everything we talked about last week I've been playing this week, and I'm really impressed with it. It's not, it's not like it's Minecraft, or it's not like it's any like really deep RPG, but the fact that I can pick it up on my iPhone, I can pick it up on any internet browser, is really, really cool. And it's just a kind of a point and click RPG, hack and slash some goblins, some bats, some crabs on the beach. Like, it's really, really fun. It's super simple too. Like, you only need the mouse to play it, and you can hit the enter button and type in chat to other people who are walking around. The server today only had about 40 people on it, so it's not the most popular game, but it's really cool. It's free as well too, so just go and try it, because it is kind of a throwback to some old games, and I'm really impressed with how well it's put together.
Cool. Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit what I've been playing, and that is nothing. Well, that's not true. I've been playing a lot of iPad games with all the craziness that's basically going through work right now. I haven't been really focused on fun stuff as much as I probably should be. So I haven't touched my PS3, except I turned it on to download some of the free things that I guess I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Some of the free games that came out this month. So I have them. I just haven't played them yet. So hopefully I'll dig into that over the next few days, since it's a long weekend this weekend, and have some of that stuff to talk about. But I picked up a game on my iPad, or I guess it's for both iPhone and iPad, and it's called Street Food Tycoon, and it's a free game. And essentially, it's like you're running a street cart, a food cart, and someone comes up and says, "I want fries with ketchup on it." So you hit fry container, fries, ketchup, and then you drag the item to the person, and they go, "Thank you," and they walk away. Or they say, "Well, no, I want mini hot dogs on a stick." So you hit stick, mini hot dogs, and drag it to them. It's the most simple, mindless, crazy thing, but for some reason I was able to disconnect my brain for a little bit and sit there and play this, and I'm actually kind of digging it. It's free with in-app purchase for money, and money is kind of a shortcut to the end game, where you actually buy a food truck. So you don't have a cart, you have a truck. I don't know why that's better, because I think you still have the same food selections. You're just you're in a truck now,
in a different house.
Exactly. And so as you play through the game, you can add more items that you can create. You can buy people that will come and buy stuff from you, which I don't understand how that works, but you do, and then they come and buy stuff. Like there's this Ellen DeGeneres person, I can't remember what they call her in the game, and she really likes food, and when she tips you over $100. So you really want to unlock that one early, because then it allows you to collect a lot more money a lot easier and things like that. So such a mindless, crazy game, but it's exactly what I needed for this last couple weeks. So
it sounds a lot like oh man, I was listening to iOS Pulse, another podcast you do, a couple weeks ago, and it sounded like a game that Kara was talking about. I can't remember what she was, but it sounds very similar.
Yeah, Order Up. she was
There
probably
you go,
talking about. Yeah. It's very much like that, where you're doing like little mini games to make food. But even then, it's a lot more like boiled down to its essential, repetitive. I want to make the widgets. I got to make the widgets. Let me make the widgets, kind of thing. So,
Gotcha.
but it's fun. I'm enjoying it anyway. I think I'm pretty much done with it. But I enjoyed the mindlessness of it. It was exactly what I was looking for.
That's cool.
And I've also been playing Draw Something as well. Have you heard much about that game?
Yes, I just noticed that on the show notes here that you have Draw Something, so I'm actually going to send you an invite right now on my iPhone.
You might not want to do that, because lately I've been crazy obsessive, and I've been taking out my stylus and actually spending like a half hour
here we
drawing.
go.
I don't know what it is. It's like I can't just make stick figures. I have to draw like today. My clue was Nemo. So here, I'll see if I can pull it up on my iPad actually. So I was on lunch at work, and not really wanting to think about things at work. So I walked away from my desk. I usually eat at my desk. Here, let's do this. And the clue came up, and it was Nemo. So I took out my stylus and said, I can draw Nemo. Nemo's pretty easy to draw. So I went and I drew Nemo. So you can kind of see it there on the screen. So
Oh man.
there's my Nemo. It's Nemo. I spent a lot of time doing that. And I'm like, I don't know why I spent a lot of time doing that, because I drew an orange fish with big eyes and one little tiny flipper, and he would have probably guessed Nemo after about 5 seconds, but I spent like another 15 minutes drawing this drawing. So that's how I play Draw Something. And sadly enough, Kara plays it as well, and she's a horrible artist. And she's probably listening to this right now.
She cannot be worse than I am. I am just brutal.
No, it's bad. But she's probably listening right now. So as soon as I walk upstairs, I'm going to get punched, which is going to be awesome. But she loves it as much as I do. And we found ourselves laying in bed the other night. We were supposed to be watching a movie, but we ended up pausing the movie because one of the kids got up. And I sent her a drawing, and then she got back and she's like, oh, I got a drawing. And she picked it up, and she's like, oh, you did it. So she sat there and she figured it out, and I kind of watched her figure it out. And then she's like, oh, look away. Here's my words. So
Yeah.
her words came up, and then she drew it and sent it to me. And we basically like spent like an hour and a half just sending drawings back and forth. And it's just like, we could have talked. We could have done something more coupley than art, and really bad art, mind you, while laying in bed right beside each other. It was just the weirdest thing. So, yeah.
Who talks these days, though? I mean, that's totally over. I don't even think I've made a call on my iPhone in months.
This thing calls? It has a phone inside of it?
I think so. Sometimes it rings, and I don't know what to do with it. So
I just thought that was a weird push notification from an app.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I've been playing a lot of not really gamey games, but more mindless entertainment type of stuff. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun. Hopefully,
my go-to is that I essentially always choose the 3 coin words, which are the hardest ones apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get I get into it, and I'm like, I start drawing, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that I can't draw worth a damn. So I end up most of the time drawing something rough, pointing a big arrow to it, and writing horrible letters trying to spell out another clue.
Yeah. See, and I realized today that I'm a bad Draw Something player, because my word came up earlier today, and the word was cane. So like CANE. So
okay.
you draw a cane, or you can draw sugar cane. Like there's many different ways to do it. Yeah. I spent like, I don't know, 15 minutes drawing like this pimp guy and like this pimp coat and like this big purple hat with a feather. And then I was like, oh crap, my word's cane. So I got to put a cane in here. So I drew this like little cane and put an arrow on it. And I was like, oh, that doesn't really show cane. So I actually drew a cane beside it, like the normal, like curved, hooky kind of cane. Nice. And I was like, this guy's going to hate me. I just spent like 10 minutes drawing something that was not really related to the word, because I thought, hey, if I was to draw a cane, I could draw like some guy in like with a pimp hat and a cane, and he could be like kind of strutting around. And my drawing was nothing like that. So I'm a very bad Draw Something player. I draw well, but I just don't play the game very well, I guess.
I was going to say, you should have drawn Orson Welles, but that was with a K, which is unfortunate. You could have just put like Rosebud above his head or something.
Or I could have drawn Kane from like WWE. Like
yeah, you could have done that too.
Red mask, that would have been good. as well. But yeah, it's such a fun game, and it's
It
free.
is.
It's free to play, 99 cents if you want the one without ads, and it gives you bonus coins and stuff like that. And it's just so much fun.
That's a fun game. It's
especially-
too bad the guy who is in charge of making it is such a a jerk, essentially, posting like half naked pictures of himself on Twitter and just saying he's like the best guy ever. And,
Did he do that? I
Yeah.
heard something about that. I heard him
Yeah.
because they were bought by Zynga, and
Yeah.
one of the guys that was there has an app that he wrote for his wife. And when he joined Zynga, they're like, no, you're going to have to take that down off the App Store. And he's like, well, no, I don't want to do that. They're like, well, sorry, then we're not going to hire you. So then he basically went around and was saying about he's the one, was it OMG Pop guy that is not joining Zynga. And then the owner of the ex OMG Pop guy, who's now a Zynga guy, basically went out and just ripped him a new one, saying, yeah, sometimes there's people that just don't fit in. They go against the grain with everything they do. And he was like totally insulting this guy. I didn't realize that it had like gone down to like naked pictures and stuff.
he's just a fool.
That's creepy.
Just a fool.
But he's a fool with $180 million. So
Yes, which is a much worse variant of the regular fool. A rich fool is someone who is dangerous.
yes, exactly. They can do whatever they want and pay for it. Yeah. Cool. All right, let's move away from what we've been playing. Let's get into news.
Lots of stuff to talk about today.
Yeah, there's a lot of news, a lot of weird stuff popping up. The first one that I wanted to make mention of, I more want to bring it up just so we can have a little talk about it, because this makes me really angry. And Capcom was basically, it was found that all of the DLC for Street Fighter Cross Tekken is actually bundled on the disc. So when you unlock any of the DLC, you're not actually downloading anything. You're downloading a little unlock code, so you're paying money to download this little tiny file that unlocks content that's on the disc. So people are like, well, this is garbage. I mean, if you had time to create this stuff and put it on the disc, we should have it. Like, DLC should be stuff that's done after the game is out that we buy to extend the life of the game. But you had planned this whole sequence of events. So there was a whole bunch of interviews. There was a whole bunch of Better Business Bureau complaints. And Capcom basically said, this is to the Better Business Bureau claim. And I don't know who from Capcom said it. It's not in the article that I'm reading. And this really makes me angry. It's like, at Capcom, we value our customers and make every effort to resolve customer complaints. We are sorry to hear that Redacted was so disappointed with Street Fighter Cross Tekken game, SFXT, and would like to respond to his complaints. SFXT has an enormous amount of content, a fully developed and available to play and enjoyment immediately on disc. So that's a bad sentence. It's not me speaking bad. It's the sentence is bad.
Yeah.
Given the 38 characters available for full play, as well as multiple play modes, SFXT provides great value for the players from day one. While Capcom is sorry that some of its fans are not happy about the chosen method of delivery for the DLC, we believe this method will provide more flexible and efficient gameplay through the game's life cycle. There's effectively no distinction. That's the big thing. There's effectively no distinction between DLC being locked behind the disc and available for unlocking at a later date, or being available through full download at a later date, other than the delivery mechanism. We hope that this addresses Redacted's concerns.
Yeah. So if I can just really quickly defend, and I don't even want to say the word defend because everything about what they're saying here just irks me just the wrong way. I'm very, I get fired up about stuff like this because of my position. But in their defense, which is a very loosely constructed defense, is, DLC at its core is just downloadable content, right? They are kind of right in saying that there is no real difference. However, the fact that, the downloadable content in my mind is a big file, roughly 100 to 800 megabytes that gets put onto your hard drive, and your disk spins and accesses that information and allows a new part of the game to come out. That's what I think downloadable content is. What they think it is just anything that you download, albeit the smallest, 128 kilobyte unlock code to unlock something on your disk. That technically is still downloadable content, but oh my God, what the hell is wrong with you as a company? I mean, it's so frustrating, these people.
Yeah, and I guess what the people are trying to complain about is DLC should come from the internet. That's not their complaint. Their complaint is if you had time to make all this content before you ship the disc, then that content should be on the disc. Downloadable content should be something that is created at a later point and then distributed to extend the lifespan of the game. So say, I'm pulling numbers out of the air, but say there's 12 characters that are built into this disc. So they are able to basically fully create, play balance, skin, voice, animate these 12 characters and put them on the disc. And they're going to say they're going to put them out every couple weeks. So they'll release one for $5. So they've spent all the time in development creating these guys before the game even came out. And this is content that's on the disc that was basically used, created with the money that was used to fund this game. And now people aren't going to see it unless they pony up money. And not everybody's going to be doing that. So that's what really kind of irks me. Like I want my DLC to be less horse armor and more mage temple from the original Oblivion. Like I want to have something that adds an experience to my game, not something that is basically just like extra costumes. And I sure as heck don't want to buy content for my game, which I know was created way before the game even shipped. Like that is just Capcom wanting to sell a $60 game for $100.
Yeah, see, and there's kind of a little bit of debate about, like, you know, day one DLC almost kind of falls into this category, although I don't have a problem with day one DLC that you have to pay for, because it's very difficult for me to it's very difficult for me to say that this was created at the same time as the game was. Yeah. Day one DLC, like when a game is done, it's not like they don't finish a game on the Friday and then package and print discs and ship them out for Tuesday. Yeah. They're done months before that.
Yeah, it takes forever to go through certification and QA and all that stuff. Like that takes a very long time.
A lot of the time too, or on trucks. So in that time, they can produce DLC that comes out day one. That's fine for me. But, you know, Capcom is one of these companies that is taking the DLC approach in the wrong direction. And, you know, as a company, they're well within their right to do whatever they want. I don't think they're technically like screwing the customer, because you don't have to pay for it, but it's on the disc. And that is frustrating. You know, unlocking the Resident Evil 5 multiplayer content, that stuff was like on the disc, hard coded, and I downloaded a 128 kilobyte file that sends an unlock code to the disc.
Yeah.
If it's on the disc, I should just have it for $60. You know, if you want to sell me something afterwards, that's fine, but make sure that I have to download something big. And you know, and then they kind of come back and say, well, one of the reasons why we put it on the disc and lock it out is for compatibility issues, which is total BS.
Yeah.
Because the consoles, everything internally is the same. That's why it's a console. You know, everything in there is controlled, and it's the exact same as this one and this one and this one. So there's no compatibility issues. What you just like, the internet is compatible to everything that can take the internet. It doesn't make any sense. So it's just they're
stretching.
Oh, like really stretching, and it's frustrating. And I don't after this last Resident Evil game, Operation Raccoon City, the only Capcom game I will buy will be Resident Evil 6. And even then, I'm going to really look into it hard, because I know that there's going to be a way that they're going to try and kind of, you know, get at me. You know, it always feels like they're trying to, you know, sneak up behind you in a way, you know, and it's like, I don't, you know, if you're going to do business, but, you know, try to treat us like, you know, people and not just money, you know, dollar signs.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's kind of corporate, you know, democracy type of, you know, capitalism. It's hard to argue against.
Yeah. People are going to vote with their dollars, and they're going to see that this is basically treating the customers like idiots, and they're not going to get anywhere by doing that. Like you don't create a bunch of content and then lock some of it out to sell to people later. This isn't a free to play game. It's a game that people are spending $60 or $50 on. And yeah, I mean, it's just, that's the wrong thing to do as a company that apparently loves its customers, because they have all these events that they throw for their customers to have, like fighting game tournaments and things like that. It's like, well, obviously you don't like your customers. You like the money that they have, which you're a company. I understand that you need money, but if you're trying to foster I don't know, an environment where people are going to want to like love all your games, I mean, you should definitely treat the people with a little bit more respect than that.
hmm And Capcom is, but like Capcom back in the day, and I'm talking like 10, 15 years ago, they were one of the, if not the best, third-party game developer out there.
Yeah.
And they seem to have fallen off big time in the last 3 to 5 years. The stuff of late, Resident Evil is included in this, has been terrible. I mean, really just substandard, let's throw it out the door and hope to make a couple of bucks type of games. And I don't know if their company's like hurting for money or something, but it seems like their quality control has gone out the window.
Yeah, like all the crazy stuff with the Mega Man fiasco
Yes.
that happened.
Yes.
Like they're just a weird company now. Like they've definitely changed. Maybe they had a couple bad games. Like I don't know. Maybe that's the reason. But yeah, they're a different company than they used to be, and that's a little bit disappointing because they were pretty damn awesome before.
And they also said, because I read another article about this exact same thing on Kotaku, and they were saying that another one of the reasons is that this will avoid us having to put out a, game of the year kind of edition where everything is all on the disc because it's already on the disc. Like, well, it's not like we're asking for a game of the year edition. Like, what the hell are you talking
And a
about?
game of the year edition wouldn't have you have to have you buy each of those things for $5. It would be part of the disc. So no,
Exactly.
we want a game of the year edition, and we won't buy this piece of crap that you just put out.
The game of the year editions to me are something that if I've already bought the game and have the DLC, I'm not going to go and buy. But someone who wants the game with all this extra content and doesn't have the internet, because a lot of people don't have the internet in their homes. We think everybody does, but
Yep.
there's still people who don't, but still have a console. That's what the game of the year edition is for. They kind of take a cut on the actual physical game because it's been a year old, so it'll come down half price, but then they'll add on the DLC content and you'll pay $60. That's totally fine. Bring a game of the year edition if it avoids crap like this.
Exactly. And I know some people actually that don't download DLC, but they'll buy a game like Fallout 3, and then they'll actually buy the game of year edition after because they want all the downloadable content. They don't want to pay full price for it down the road. It's just like, that is so weird, but hey, it works. And yeah, I mean, that's the best way. If you want to put all the stuff on the disc, it should be unlocked right when you give it to the people.
Absolutely.
If it's not day one DLC, because that's a little bit of a different beast.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that's enough on bitching at Capcom. What else do we have to talk about?
But not enough. And this isn't the last story on DLC tonight either. Next up, so there's some new Battlefield 3 DLC that's coming, and it's called. It's kind of weird what it's called, but I mean they're cutting right to the point here. It's called the Ultimate Shortcut Bundle, and it costs 3,200 Microsoft points, which I believe is $50.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
I think it's I'm gonna double check here.
How much is it?
3,200 Microsoft points.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I believe it is $50.
Divided by 8, and yeah, that's $40.
Yeah, 40. There we go. Yeah, $40,
Yikes.
which is a lot of money. So you're looking at nearly. It's actually about 2/3 of what the game costs, but it basically unlocks everything in the game that you'd otherwise have to play for hours and hours to get on your own. So to put it another way, it lets rich and stupid people pay to get on the same footing as those who bought the game at launch and who have put in a lot of hard work. Vehicles, weapons, gadgets, unlocks, everything is available to you if you pay $40. It's actually a pretty interesting piece of DLC. Like, I think for EA, and they're in the running to be the worst company in America. If we the story we talked about last week,
They actually won it, didn't they?
oh, did they win it today?
I thought so. I thought I read that today.
Oh wow. Well, it doesn't surprise me, but
They
for
run a
moves like
poopy
this,
or whatever the name of the word was. So it was something like that.
It's really funny, but this is something that they're going to make a lot of money off of because in the world of Call of Duty, there's a thing called boosting, and I'm not sure how many people know what this is, but it essentially is lobbies of people who will let someone else kill you so that you can do it to them, and you can unlock because there are certain unlocks for getting headshots, challenges.
Right.
You can unlock different camos for your guns and stuff like that. So people will boost essentially to get the good stuff without having to play like a regular person who's just going to work hard and try and get it naturally on their own. This allows you to pay for it completely legally, and it's really, really funny. I think it's actually a smart move on EA because they're going to make so much money off of it. But me as a player who plays Battlefield 3 and takes it seriously, probably more seriously than I should, but who takes it seriously, is a little bit pissed off because it's like, I work really hard to get the MP7 or to get, extended mags on my M16.
Hmm.
That's something I put a lot of time in the game to get. And some guy can just come over and just spend $40 and have the exact same stuff as me. And that's frustrating.
It drives me crazy. I mean, that is a freemium game model. Allow people to play the game, and get whatever you want, but then also allow them to buy it if they don't want to spend the time. It makes sense because they didn't spend $60 on the disc. They spent nothing or a very cheap price. But to do it on a game, so basically selling someone a game for $100 and they get the game and everything unlocked. And that's kind of also taking all the fun away as well. Like there's nothing for them to do except sit and shoot people in the head and I don't know, love the enhanced weapons they have, I guess. Like it just seems really odd to me.
Yeah, and the thing is that EA actually kind of pushed it out silently. They didn't do any marketing about it because they knew they were going to catch some flack, even though we found about it anyway. But the funny thing is, apparently it actually doesn't unlock everything. There are some things that you have to kind of get organically. Okay. But the DLC is actually more than people are selling the game for. I believe you can go into a GameStop and get it for $35 or something. So the DLC is more than the game costs, which is ridiculous.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy times.
Yeah. Don't be lazy, people. It's a video game. That's being lazy enough. Just play it and, be good at it.
Exactly. Cool. All right. Moving on. This is an interesting story. I read this one yesterday and it kind of made me smile from ear to ear. I was a big fan of Harmonix way back in the day when they made a game called Amplitude and Frequency on the PlayStation 2. They were basically music games where you'd activate parts of the song by basically moving this little ship up tracks left and right, and then basically hitting the buttons on the controller to basically to trigger the different gems. Once you did a certain number of gems on a track, it would unlock that track and say the drums would start. Then you'd have to move over and do like the bass, and then move over and do like the beat and all that stuff. Loved the hell out of that game. Played it forever. Like this was a game that was in my PS2 probably for about 6 months, and we'd have people come over. We would drink large amounts of beer and play Amplitude and then play Frequency, and I just loved it. And then Guitar Hero came out and it kind of basically destroyed Amplitude and Frequency because you had something else to play with physical instruments and it was cool. And then Guitar Hero turned into Guitar Hero 2, turned into Rock Band, turned into Rock Band 2, Rock Band 3, and pretty much then died. People said, that's enough plastic crap in my house. I don't have enough room for 7 drum sets and 18 guitars, so I don't want to buy this stuff anymore. So I guess everybody put their games on hold. Like it was quite famously the what is it? The Guitar Hero folks said, yeah, we're not doing anymore. Activision said, yeah, we're not doing anything. We canceled a bunch of games. We're not doing it. And Rock Band basically said, yeah, Rock Band 3 is like the best game ever. You can play tracks just like you're a real musician. So we're just going to sell DLC forever. So everybody thought that the music genre games were kind of dead, at least for a while. Until yesterday when I read about a game called Rock Band Blitz. It's going to be a downloadable game on Xbox Live Arcade and PSN. And essentially, it's going back to what Amplitude and Frequency were. So you have you basically have a song that's laid out into a number of tracks. When you go onto a track, you hit 2 buttons only. There's the left and right. So there's only 2 ways to play a note, I guess, either left or right, depending on what the note is on that track, probably with like the triggers or whatever. And if you do that a certain number of times, you activate that track and it's glowing. The nice thing about this is it's basically playing the song as if you were playing it 100% when you're playing Rock Band. So everything is coming out. Everybody's playing the music fine. Whether you've activated a track or not, the music apparently sounds the way it should. But when you activate all the tracks, that allows you to get more score. So you'll activate the bass, and then you go to activate the guitar, and then you notice that the vocal track is not glowing anymore. So you have to jump over to the vocals and activate that one. And basically, it just seems like a more simplified version of Rock Band. But I watched the video that was posted over at Joystick, and I want this today. It's not out today, and that makes me very sad because I know I'm going to spend so much time playing this. It comes with 25 tracks. Some announced tracks are Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People, Jesse's Girl, Rick Springfield, Always by Blink-182, Bang Your Head by Quiet Riot. So some of the newer stuff, some of the rock, some of the kind of techno-y kind of stuff, which is kind of cool. but even better is it will play any of the downloadable content from Rock Band. So if you have,
that's awesome.
so if you have downloaded songs, it will play it. The only thing that it won't do, because when you bought Rock Band 3, you could actually pay money to turn your Rock Band 2 songs into, like, pull them off the Rock Band 2 disc and put them on your hard drive. You do that with Rock Band 1. There just is no way to do that with Rock Band 3 yet. So if you have Rock Band 3 downloadable content, you're golden. But any of the songs that are on that Rock Band 3 disc, you can't play yet. I'm sure they'll come up with some sort of solution for that.
Yeah, definitely stress the word yet, because I feel like the thing is, like, when it comes to games like this, it's not about the game at all. It's about the songs.
Exactly.
It really almost has nothing to do with the game. And this is kind of cool because it does take a little bit from the failed but really cool DJ Hero experiment that Activision did a while ago, where you can kind of switch the different tracks that are going on. And I watched the video too, and I was actually pretty impressed. Now, I'm not a big fan of music games. I have Rock Band with, the guitar and the drums. I haven't played it in years, and I want to get rid of it. Like, I just want to put it on Kijiji for $20 with everything just to get it out of my house.
Right.
And I feel like that is asking too much because of how cheap the games are. But this is cool because it doesn't take up your entire living room.
No, you're listening to the music, which is awesome because you're playing this game because you love music. So you don't want to hear boing, boom, boom, and then nothing because you sucked playing the guitar. But you're actually listening to the full song, whether you are doing well or not. I'm sure there's a fail state, probably some way to fail the track, but at least you're listening to the song, and then you're having fun while listening to the song, which is really good. So people are saying it's a lot like Audio Surf and some of the other kind of independent games, and it's very much like that, and probably because those games are very much like Amplitude and Frequency. So what's the one on the iPad? It's a Tap Tap Revenge or something. Yeah,
right?
Tap Tap Revenge.
It's very, very popular.
And Tap Tap Revolution is how it started, and then it came to Tap Tap Revenge. So it's very similar to a lot of other games, but the winner for this one is it's available with all of the DLC that you have from Rock Band. So
that's
anything like it even has the Rock Band music store as a menu inside of it. So if you don't own Rock Band, but you really want to pick up like some Metallica songs, you can just go to the Rock Band music store. You probably can't get very many Metallica songs. So they had Guitar Hero Metallica. So that was a very bad choice of mine, but pick a band that is on the Rock Band music store. And if you want that band, you can use this game. Go buy the tracks.
The Beatles.
That's it also. Wasn't that Garage? Or no, that was Rock Band.
Beatles Rock Band, I believe.
That's right. So, yes, Beatles. There you go. There's one. So, you can go get all those tracks and play them in this game. So, I personally can't wait for this one. It's going to be, they say it's out in the summer, so it's probably going to be one of those like summer arcade sort of special things. But I will definitely be picking this one up on day one.
For the value, I mean, it'll be, $15, 1,200 points especially, or essentially, and that is... That's a damn good value. I mean, here is a night and day example of how a company is not screwing you over, right? Like, they are not forcing you to pay, or I guess no company really forces you to pay, but they're not giving you an option to pay to get all your DLC again, for a second price. If you paid for it, you paid for it. We're going to make it compatible with this game. That just opens it up. I feel like that'll make more people buy the game because they don't have to start from scratch again. Yeah,
and I mean that's why Rock Band was so awesome. Like, your DLC, all your songs were the same from disc to disc to disc to game to game. That didn't happen with any of the Guitar Heroes. And I'm looking at like my guitar. I keep looking up because all my Guitar Hero boxes are like over on my shelf there. And I realized that I haven't really played them in so long. So I might be in the same boat as you. I might want to go pick up some Rock Band stuff and like download the discs onto my PS3. That might be something for me to do. Give me more tracks to play with this one.
For sure.
Cool.
All right, moving on. And I a couple of weeks ago I said we're not going to talk about Mass Effect 3's ending anymore, but we're going to talk about it today because there was big news today. So essentially what happened here is BioWare has come out with an official press release here, and they are making an addendum to the Mass Effect 3 ending. What they're calling it is the extended cut, and it's going to be DLC that will be available this summer for free, which is really cool. But it is not... It's going to help answer questions and give closure to the chapter of the Mass Effect 3 story, but it will not change the ending. They are keeping the ending the way it is, but they are just offering closure and kind of tying up some loose ends. So put out a press release here, and I'm just going to read a little bit off the FAQ and kind of give you guys a little bit of idea what's going on here. So, what can fans expect from Extended Cut DLC? For fans who want more closure in Mass Effect 3, the DLC will offer extended scenes that provide additional context and deeper insight to the conclusion of Commander Shepard's journey. Are there going to be more or different endings or ending DLCs in the future? No. BioWare strongly believes in the team's artistic vision for the end of this arc of the Mass Effect franchise. The Extended Cut DLC will expand on the existing endings, but no further ending DLC is planned. And then the last thing I wanted to just kind of point out here is this question: why are you releasing Extended Cut DLC? And their answer is actually a pretty good one. Though we remain committed and are proud of the artistic choices we made in the main game, we are aware that there are some fans who would like more closure to Mass Effect 3. The goal of the DLC is not to provide a new ending to the game, rather to offer fans additional context and answers to the end of Commander Shepard's story. Pretty cut and dry. I'm kind of wrestling with how I feel about it, right? Because I would have liked them to not offer anything, just stay with it. But the fact is, they're not changing the ending, which is fine. I think that is good, even though the more I kind of read about the ending, the more angry I get about it. And I'm like, yeah, this actually doesn't make any sense at all. But, you have to kind of stick with your guns. Nobody goes to see a movie and says, that ending sucked, Michael Bay, change it for me and let me watch it for free.
They do say that ending sucked, Michael Bay, but that's about as far as it gets.
Yeah, but they never, petition to we paid $12 for a movie ticket. This is our right to have a good ending. No, it's not. You paid $12 for what you saw, and you paid $60 for what you played. No one goes into an art gallery and says, I demand that this last painting I saw be changed because I didn't think it agrees with the rest of the paintings here. That's a ridiculous task. And I feel like if we're going to call video games art, which is what they are, and I feel like this is about as close to video game art as we're going to get in the consumer world here, that we have to give them the same leniency that we give other pieces. You can not like the ending. That's fine with me. Mm-hmm. But if you say that you deserve a better ending and that you want it for free, you're completely out of your mind.
It's crazy. And I mean, like the ending or don't like the ending. If you don't like the ending and you think you were screwed out of 6 years of your life or 7 years of your life, you're crazy to begin with, because you are able to play these games for 60 plus hours each. So $1 per hour is what you paid for your experience, if not less, because a lot of people spend a lot more. They replayed it. There's multiplayer now, so you can play all that stuff, especially in Mass Effect 3. If you don't like the ending, fine. Don't buy Mass Effect 4. Don't buy the next BioWare game. Don't buy the Mass Effect books that are going to be coming out. Obviously I'm making stuff up, but don't buy any more into this fiction or into games that this developer is making. Don't say I want it changed, because I don't know. We beat the dead horse so much last episode. I don't even want to get any further, but it just drives me stupid. Actually, after doing the last show, and one of the listeners actually sent me a really funny tweet. He's like, Nintendo, I demand that the ending to Super Mario Brothers 2 gets changed. Mario just wakes up and it was all a dream, and I think that is not representative of my adventure killing King Wart or whatever it was, like some crazy tweet. And I'm like, yeah, it's exactly that, psycho. You played the game, you got to the end of the game, this is the ending that the writers wrote. Whether it's good or not, who cares? That's what the ending is. You might not agree with it, but I read a lot of books that I don't like the endings. It's like, how could you left it here? It's a cliffhanger. Or why did you kill off this character right at the end? But I'm not going to get all butthurt and start a petition online to get this stuff changed.
Yeah, but absolutely. I mean, that's what fan fiction's for, right? I mean, write your own ending if you can think you can do it better. Yeah. I guarantee you can't. The amount of work that had to go into the ending here, and I get it, because again, the more I kind of read about it and the more I see that, I was a little bit jaded when I played it the first time. It is very frustrating, but the fact is, I love the game, and I think it is a fantastic game and easily the best game I've played this year. And then you get to the last 10 minutes you don't agree with. You just played for 45, 50 hours and you don't like the last 10 minutes and you're going to, crap yourself.
Yeah.
Get a grip.
Suck it up, princess. is what I like to say.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. This one's for a little bit of levity in the show. Microsoft this week announced that they're coming out with new controllers, which isn't a big deal. Microsoft comes out with different color controllers and different things. But this one's different where it's chromed controllers. So the article joystick is called Microsoft Goes Baller with chromed out 360 controllers, which is kind of funny. And I guess this is kind of a everybody wanted to get the C3PO gold controller. So why don't we just sell them other colors and make lots of money? Insert like step 2 question marks and step 3 profit here. The one thing that I don't understand is when I saw the gold controller as well, I was like, I don't know, gamers, they're people that probably spend a lot of time in front of the TV. Like the people that would go and buy a special controller, they spend a lot of time in front of the TV playing games on the weekend. I know I do when I have a good weekend for games. A lot of times I'm eating pizza or I have a bag of chips on the table or whatever, but I might not have like pristine, taken all like talcum powdered hands.
Yeah.
And if you've ever like had greasy fingers and you touch anything that's shiny, you leave imprints of your fingers. Your fingerprints are on these controllers. So I don't know if you've ever like played a game for like 100 hours and you notice that there's like crud on the side because you're like all sweaty and gross. Just imagine that done on a mirror that you're going to see forever. Like this to me seems like the worst idea ever. I'm going to see how gross my hands are forever when I play my 360 because it's going to be like this greasy, gooey mess.
You're totally right. I mean, like if you look at the screen on my iPhone when it's black, I mean, it just looks like finger smudges. On my PS Vita, the same thing. I mean, it's just all. And the prime example is my aluminum keyboard for my iMac. I look down at that thing and I'm like, what the hell is on my hands that it's this? I mean, I've had it for 4 years, but oh my God, are my hands disgusting? Like
exactly.
I shouldn't be shaking hands or touching anyone with hands this dirty.
And all joking aside, I mean, not everybody that plays games is gross, and I'm making
most of them are. Most of them are.
Okay. I'm not generalizing, but some people, some parts of the podcast may be generalizing. But anyway, I'm not saying that everybody's gross, but like if you're playing a game and you get like I can remember playing like Final Fantasy VII and getting like super stressed and like crazy with these boss fights, and then I noticed that my hands were actually like liquid because I was sweating like crazy. Can you imagine that on a controller now that you can see? Like that's just disgusting.
My hands sweat all the time when I play Call of Duty, and I just like I'm always like wiping them on my pants and stuff just to get them dry.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Fight or flight.
At the end of the day, though. Yeah, the controllers look awesome.
They do.
I mean, they look really cool. Like I almost want to buy one, but
put it on the shelf.
I don't think I ever want to look down at the controller and then see my reflection back in it. That would be kind of weird.
Yeah, get like a glass display case and put the controllers in them with some nice lighting behind it. And I could see that would be a good place for it. But anyway, all joking aside, Microsoft is coming out with chromed controllers. They've announced silver, blue, and red, but not every retailer is going to have every color. Because they'd have to make it more difficult, I guess. I don't know why they're doing that. The other big thing is it's a special edition controller, so they're going to charge you $5 more for the wireless controller. So it's $54.99 instead of the normal $50 for a controller that you probably paid too much for already.
I think the wireless controller have always been $60, but it's the wired ones that I believe are like almost half price. They're like $39.
Yeah.
But in this case, the wired controllers are like $54. So you're essentially like you're almost losing out if you don't get a wireless controller.
Yeah.
But they're always going to be expensive. They're pretty fragile, which is the only thing. I've broken a couple of controllers just by accidentally dropping them, and then my shoulder button doesn't work anymore. And these days with games, if you don't have a working shoulder button, you're pretty much screwed. Like, I can't throw flashbangs now in Call of Duty, or I can't throw grenades in Halo. So I'm totally out of that button. So I need to go and buy a new controller, which is frustrating. I wish they were a little bit more robust, but I don't think that it's, out of this world. If it was $100, I'd be like, wow, you're crazy. They look cool. Yeah. I don't think I've ever used one though.
Charging $5 more is bad, but I'd probably just buy a normal like beigey white one and be happy with it. I don't want something super shiny in my hands. That's gross. Gross.
All right, moving on. We have so this is the last story here today. Before we get into quick hits, this is very interesting, but it's also very frustrating. So in Britain, teachers are blaming video games for a rise in hitting and like just kids hurting each other, essentially. Alison Sherritt, former president of the Association of Teachers and Lecturers, says growing access to quote horrific video games is responsible for an increase in the amount of aggressive behavior in school playgrounds. I It's kind of funny because I almost agree with it, because I when I was playing video games as a kid and I couldn't get past something, I would get so frustrated. I would scream and punch the controller and throw it all over the place. And I didn't really do that with anything else. But I never took that aggression onto the playground and started punching my friends in the face or anything. Mm-hmm. I think that she might be onto something a little bit, but I don't feel like, kids will just hit people because they're kids. There's essentially no consequence for doing anything wrong. So this is more of a parenting thing than a video games are bad thing. Totally. Video games have a rating for a reason. And if you're a parent and you're letting your 12-year-old kid play Call of Duty, you are a bad parent. That game is mature for a reason. I mean, I go online and all I hear is kids swearing and calling each other the most horrific names I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. Blatantly racist, misogynist, horrible words that, I wouldn't say in my parents' house, at any age. And these kids are probably within earshot of their parents. Buy games that are appropriate for your kids. If they whine and complain about, I want Call of Duty because it's the cool thing, too bad. You have to be 17. That's why you can't buy it without a parent. And if it really is affecting your kid that much, then completely take it out of their hands because they do not have a mind that they can process this information and, not take it into the real world.
Exactly. And there's been so many studies that have linked violent video games to violent children. And there's been an equal number of studies that have proven that violent video games don't make kids more violent. I have a 5-year-old son. Actually, my son Nick turned 6 this month. Just about to have a birthday party for him, actually. And the funny thing is, a lot of the people in his class play games. But there's this one really violent kid. He likes to punch kids and stuff. And he's not allowed to play video games. They don't actually have any video games in their house. But this kid has a bigger brother that beats him up all the time. So there's just... that's just the way it is. Either it's no parental supervision, it's the environment, it's cousins and brothers that are beating these kids up. I mean, everything in the world is a little bit more open and violent than it was. Like, you didn't see people get shot on TV when I was growing up. Now you see it all the time, even when it's not 9 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. I just think, I don't know, to say that it's just games is I don't know, is crazy. I played guns before there was Call of Duty when I was a kid.
with my hand like this, I mean, that's what I was doing when I was a kid. So
exactly.
That's completely violent, I mean, I was sneaking downstairs to watch, the Terminator and stuff on TV when I was 8 years old. So there is a very big disconnect. Like, I used video games as a kid and still do now as an outlet to get energy out, I can't go and just walk into a shopping mall and start killing people. So if I get really frustrated, I'll go on Call of Duty and yell at the screen and, mm-hmm. kill, people in the game that aren't real. And that's kind of how I get my aggression out. Probably I get more frustration from playing it than I do from actually anything else. But to say that video games are responsible for people killing each other, or music or books or movies or anything, is just... it's a fear of the unknown, and it's very ignorant.
It's a generation thing. These are probably people that didn't grow up with games. Just like when I was growing up, I'm a little bit older than you, and I watched Looney Tunes and the Bugs Bunny show. You actually had people had anvils drop on their head and hit each other with bats. Nowadays, all those cartoons have been cleaned up because they said, wow, you can't have a cartoon where another character hits another character with a bat because kids might take a bat and hit their friends. It's really? No one did that when I was growing up. And if you did, it was for a good reason, because someone pissed you off when you were playing baseball, because that's the only time you'd have a bat. You weren't going to walk around with one. It's crazy. And it's turning the world into kindergarten and wrapping everything in bubble wrap. And I'm a parent, and I'm not like one of those crazy anal psychotic parents that does that type of stuff. But I see it, and it makes me angry, and it makes me really scared for the future of like the next generation.
Yeah, and you know, when I was a kid, one of my favorite cartoons was Woody Woodpecker, and I remember vividly an episode where he put a gun to his head and blew his brains out, committed suicide, and then at the end of the episode, he was in hell. I mean, that is extreme, and that was a cartoon, and like I was laughing, I thought it was funny as hell. But I mean, like, you know, I think back and I'm like, what the hell? Like, who wrote that? And like, if somebody's like, yeah, that's a green light, give that. Yeah, we'll let the kids watch that one. That'll be 12 and up.
Suicide's going to be in next week. It's
Exactly.
the next big thing. We got to get on it right now.
Yeah.
So we can be ahead
Persona,
of the curve.
that game is about teenagers killing themselves.
Yeah.
It's like turn-based RPG or whatever.
Just wait till all the crazy people on like Fox News find out about that, and that's going to be the next game they're going to vilify. It'll be awesome.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, moving on. Let's get into quick hits. First up, if you've ever wanted to join PlayStation Plus on your PlayStation 3, April is probably a good time for you to finally make that jump, because not only will you get the usual game discounts and cloud saves that you normally get with your membership, but Sony has a ton of free games for you this month. Just for being a member. So what are you waiting for? Sign up and download your free copies of Shank 2, Shift 2 Unleashed, so Need for Speed Shift 2, the full game, downloadable as a disc image, 6 gigs. I did it last night. Huge is there. And the PlayStation original Silent Hill is available now as well because of the new Silent Hill game that just came out. And smaller titles like Cannibalt and Farm Frenzy 2 are there as well. They offer a lot of discounts, and a lot more games are going to be made available throughout the month, if this month is similar than to other ones. So yeah, go get like $37 worth of free games just for signing up for PlayStation Plus, and then thank me later.
Yeah, it's almost worth it just for Silent Hill and Cannibal, because those are fantastic games.
It's crazy. And the whole game, like Need for Speed Shift 2, like that came out like 9 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, it's relatively new.
Oh, that's crazy.
I mean, it's still about $35 in stores, or at least $29.
So there you go. Go get your Shift 2 and race on.
Next up, ever wanted to wear that nerdy Nintendo shirt to work but can't because it's not business casual enough? Well, now Nintendo has you covered with exclusive Club Nintendo polo shirts, unfortunately only available in Japan for 550 Club Nintendo points. These shirts are really cool. They have, I think, 5 different colors, and I think 4 or 5 different little logos. So they have like the Triforce, the turtle shell, and like a star and stuff for, you know, invincibility in Super Mario. Very cool stuff. I hope they bring it to North America, because I believe I still have like 1,000 Nintendo points from when I actually played Nintendo games. And 550 for a shirt is a steal.
Exactly. Yeah. Japan gets all the cool things.
We
don't get cool stuff in Club Nintendo. Although I did just get my AR cards for Kid Icarus for free from Club Nintendo.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's no shirt. All right, moving on. This just in, the PlayStation Vita firmware update version 1.65 was just released. So download now for... Wait a second. Let me refresh this RSS feed. Sorry, this just in, the PlayStation Vita firmware update version 1.66 was just released. So download now and stay updated. So apparently what I'm trying to get at is the Sony update-itis continues on this new system as well. If you're one of those people that only turns on your PlayStation 3 every couple weeks, you know that update-itis very, very well. You're going to update and spend an hour before you can actually get in and play games. How are you liking that Vita, Jeff?
I am really. I mean, I updated to 1.65 the day before yesterday, and it took 10 minutes to download and then installed very quickly. I was about 25 minutes out of service for the thing, which is pretty fast for something that you can't, connect via cable to the internet for a faster or more, stronger connection. The update was like 85 megabytes, so it's pretty small. The only thing is, like, it doesn't do anything. It changes a noise and moves around a couple of things in your settings application, and that's it.
Well, they gave you the ability to do that 2 times in 2 days, so Sony has your entertainment in mind.
Yeah, I'll have to. I'll probably play a game of baseball first and then do the update, just because I don't want to sit there with the thing just like downloading and updating. It's very annoying, but I'm still really liking this thing. But I feel like I'm in the minority of getting my values worth for it. All right, next up, internet trolling will be illegal in Arizona. So, yeah, it's about time indeed. State law will soon be passed that will make it unlawful for any person with intent to terrify, imitate, threaten, harass, annoy, or offend to use any electronic or digital device and use any obscene, lewd, or profane language, or suggest any lewd or lascivious act, or threaten to, and this is all the quote from their legal terms, threaten to inflict physical harm to the person or property of any person, punishable by a maximum of $2,500 and a 6-month stay in jail. I'm not sure if any of these people who are making this law have ever been on the internet, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of people in Arizona going to jail.
I'm not sure that anybody on the internet that does this type of stuff could actually serve jail time, because they're usually really young kids that like to make threats.
Yeah,
from what I can tell. So
yeah, youth prisons are going to need to be built in Arizona, I think.
Good luck, Arizona. It's going to be fun. All right. Can't get enough of your Angry Birds? Was their adventure in space too short for your liking? Well, starting this fall, Rovio has you covered. They're bringing out 52 weekly short-form animated cartoon episodes of what they're calling Angry Birds the Cartoon. Yes, a whole year of content doled out to you in glorious 3-minute chunks. That's a lot of content, and that's nothing to shake a stick at, or rather shoot an explosive bird at. More info will be launched in the coming months, so stay tuned to get your 3-minute cartoon on.
It's one of the things that when I'm playing and I beat the planet and I go on to the next one, I just skip it because I don't care. I just want to start throwing birds at stuff.
If that's what it looks like, I sure do not want.
Yeah, the cool thing was, I'm not sure because I haven't updated in a while, but have they given you the free Space Needle level yet?
I don't believe so. Not that I've seen.
Because that one's coming. It's a free level, and I mean it's just one level, but still it's free, and it's the Seattle Space Needle on a planet, which is really cool because when they launched the game, they did a really cool marketing thing in Seattle where they attached a huge angry bird via these huge rubber bands to the Space Needle, which is really, really cool. I mean, that shows that they're not just we want your money type of company. We've got some really fun, interesting marketing for a game that you're going to pay 99 cents for. That's something that they probably paid $2 million to do or something.
Let alone paying off NASA to actually do a commercial in space.
Yeah.
Which was cool. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was the only one, but I was kind of hoping for that big Angry Bird to break off and crush a car or something. That would have been pretty awesome.
That would be so awesome.
That would have been great. All right. So that's going to about do it for this episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in and joining us for yet another episode of the These Dudes on Games podcast, episode number 4. We want to hear from you guys. As we said at the start of the show, call in, email in, comment on the blog post, do whatever you want. Head on over to vgpodcast.com and you can do it all from there. You can email us directly at vgpodcast@gmail.com, or do this. Call our voicemail line. Pick up the phone right now. Sorry, first pause the podcast. Unpause the podcast, write down the phone number I'm about to say, then pause the podcast, then pick up the phone, then call us. And that phone number is 505 VG Podcasts. That's 505-847-6322. You can leave us a little message and we'll play it in the next episode. And
tell us something.
And we can have joyous laughter about whatever you said.
Yes. Well, let's hope joyous laughter. We might have tears or something as well too.
That,
if it's particular. Hey, by the way, if you're from Arizona and you call us, don't troll because you could go to jail.
Yeah, we'll report you. We're jerks
we will
like that.
Get you arrested. That is how we do the show here.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll be talking to you guys next week.
Should we, just really quickly, if you guys are listening live to this and you want to hear more of Lloyd and I, tomorrow night Lloyd's going to be co-hosting the bonus stage with me. So if you're a Winnipegger and hearing this, you can listen live on 92.9 Kick FM at 11 o'clock tomorrow. So if you're interested in that, we're going to be covering some new stuff. It's not going to be just a rehash of this show. So I'm pretty excited for it.
Cool. I cannot wait. That's going to be so awesome.
Yeah.
Radio is not ready for me. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you later.
Later.